Morning, it's Rick from Strom wearing my favourite Muscle Flex t-shirt, and I'm just going to do a little bit of content before I go to the Badger's wedding. I'm really enjoying looking at some of our older products and talking about what they are and how they work. So we're going to have a look today at VascuMAX Pro. This is the oldest formula we've got in terms of our current lineup. So of everything we do, this is the formula that exists in its oldest state. It's also the formula that I'm least interested in changing. We're going to update the labels at some point so it looks like the rest of the range, but the actual formula is staying the same, and I'll explain why in a moment. Before I do that, I want to show the lifting straps on video. When we did these a while ago, these are slightly heavier duty than the ones we did before. The Strom logos are rubberized, they're not stitched in, so they don't create a point of weakness. Well, they are stitched in, but you know what I mean. They are that long, so what's that? That's like 50 inches or something. Heavy duty, good quality straps, available on the website now. And if you are a retailer, get in touch with us because we might be able to sort these out for you as promotional items. We have an offer on at the moment. It's not a Strom offer, but it's a Strom retail offer. It's on the pumpkin spice cream rice old label from CSN. We've got quite a bit that's left over. The dates on them are good. These are dated February 2023. Oh no, the other way around, January, February, March, April, May 2023. So plenty of date on them. It's just not been a very popular flavour. If you buy this and anything else on the website at the moment, you get this for a £5. You just have to add this to the basket. If you spend 75 squids, you get this completely free. Just make sure you add it to the basket. You won't get it. You have to add it. I hope that's clear. VascuMAX was one of our first products. StimuMAX was actually our first product. But the formula for StimuMAX has changed lots and lots of times. This is actually the fourth version of VascuMAX, but it changed quite a lot in its early days, and then we've kind of found something that I'm really, really happy with now. The original VascuMAX had, it actually had a little bit of caffeine in it in the form of guarana. It had agmatine in, which is now banned. It had quite a bit more cyclic dextrin in. It tasted incredible, because it had a lot of carbs in. Really, really good. Agmatine got banned. No, actually, sorry. The first version, we took the caffeine out because once we launched StimuMAX, we didn't want to have any stimulants in our pump product, and VascuMAX is a stimulant-free pump product. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was going to become a lesson on VascuMAX, but there you go. So version 2 still had agmatine in it. It took out the caffeine and the formula tweaked around a little bit. Version 3 removed the agmatine, and then that became, we did version 3 and we did Pro alongside each other, and then Pro became the permanent version. Now, I normally say when I design products now, I normally start with 4 or 5 key ingredients and kind of build around that. VascuMAX is a little bit more on the ingredient panel, and I'll explain why that is in a moment. It's also very different to most of the pump products that you will see on the market these days. A lot of pump products you see on the market nowadays have 10, 12 grams of citrulline, they have 5 grams of glycerol, and all these really, really high doses. What you've got to remember is that in the body, everything wants to stay in homeostasis. Your body wants to keep everything the same. So your levels of N-synthase, your levels of adrenaline, dopamine, everything in your body wants to level out and adapt to. That's why people have to up the ante constantly with things like stimulants and drugs and so on, because your body tends to adapt to them. Sometimes acutely and sometimes over the long term. With N-synthase, with the production of nitric oxide, your body produces nitric oxide from arginine. So your body, we don't use arginine in products because arginine is crap and can reduce endurance. Your body converts citrulline into arginine, and then arginine into nitric oxide. Your body also, when it produces nitric oxide, produces something called arginase, and the function of arginase is to break down nitric oxide. So the more citrulline you take, the bigger the production of arginine, or not just citrulline, anything that produces NO. So the more citrulline you take, the more arginine you produce within your body, and the more arginase you produce as a byproduct of that. So although from taking a 10, 12 gram dose of citrulline, you might get a massive pump, you'll also get this reduction in nitric oxide in the bloodstream, and therefore an inability to get a pump later in your session. You find with these very, very high citrulline pre-workouts that you'll get a big pump and then you'll get no pump. That's pretty common. With this, we've got just 4 grams. Now, 4 grams of citrulline malate might sound pretty weedy. When VascuMAX came out, it was a very, very high dose, but it's actually where I believe the sweet spot to be for most people when you combine it with the other ingredients in there. You get two types of pump. You get a muscular, cellular swelling, water-based pump, and you get a vascularity blood flow pump. And VascuMAX was very much designed around the latter, a blood flow pump. I'll run through the panel. So we've got citrulline malate, 2-to-1 ratio, 4 grams of. We've got cluster dextrin at 3.75 grams. Now that's there. Cyclic dextrin is actually really good at helping your body absorb and pull in other nutrients. We used to call it the nutrient uptake matrix. 1,500 milligrams of normal glycerol monosterate, not a glycosize or anything like that. I find they all clump. Glycerol monosterate, the standardization for glycerol in that is quite low, but it's enough to have an effect without compromising the integrity of the rest of the product. Betaine HCl. Betaine HCl can improve strength and power output. You'll also see people talk about it for digestion, but here it's involved in the production of nitric oxide via a different mechanism, which we covered on the stories the other day. Knockout tyrosine at a gram. People will often talk about in the scope of tyrosine. Straight tyrosine is better because it yields a higher level of tyrosine in the blood immediately upon ingestion, which it does. Knockout tyrosine, because it's almost esterized, like a testosterone 2 NAC, takes long to be broken down and therefore uptaken. The big advantage to that, in my opinion, is that rather than it helping with dopamine production pre-workout, it helps with it post-workout and offsets any kind of crash that you might get. You've got a gram of beta vulgaris, 97% beetroot extract. So much data on beta vulgaris and beetroot extract. It improves VO2 max, improves endurance, time to exhaustion. It also helps improve vascularity, blood flow, nitric oxide. It's a natural nitrate, really, really good ingredient. It also gives the product its distinctive pink color. And then we've got glycine, taurine, L-norvaline, and white willow bark extract. The white willow bark extract is quite unique. It's there as a blood thinner, almost to improve blood flow via that mechanism. L-norvaline is an ingredient you don't see in a lot of other products that we should probably talk about in depth. And then taurine, as we know from VascuMAX, is an osmolyte, only 0.5 gram in here, but as an osmolyte, it helps with that cellular swelling. I've waffled on a lot. What you find with VascuMAX is that you get a really consistent, long-lasting fullness and pump that actually lasts for 7 or 8 hours post-workout. And with regular use, you get an increase in overall vascularity. We used to call it, I think, permavascularity used to be the cringe term that we used to use for it. But if you use VascuMAX on a regular basis and you are at a low level of body fat, you will tend to find that you get a permanent increase in vascularity in that individual, which is nice. Everybody likes veins. No one really knows why. We just know that we like them. Is that everything I wanted to cover? It is. I'm going to Badger's wedding shortly. Very excited for that. Means that there won't be much content until Monday. Big love. Oh no, that's Eddie's thing. Fuck off. See you in a bit.